Long before Valentine's Day became a celebration of chocolates and roses, love was once considered an act of rebellion. Our story begins in ancient Rome, around the year 269 AD. The empire was powerful but troubled, ruled by Emperor Claudius II, a man convinced that unmarried soldiers made better warriors. He believed love distracted men from the battlefield, weakening Rome's strength. So he made a decree. Marriage was banned for young men. Across the city, laughter disappeared from wedding halls. Bridal flowers withered and used. Couples who had dreamed of building lives together suddenly found themselves living in secrecy. Yet love is not easily silenced. In a small stone church hidden behind narrow streets lived a priest named Valentine. Gentle, thoughtful, and deeply devoted to the idea that love was sacred, Valentine could not accept the emperor's command. Night after night, brave couples came to him. Under candlelight, with only whispers as witnesses, Valentine joined their hands and spoke the ancient vows. Outside, the world remained harsh and uncertain, but within those walls, hope lived. Each secret wedding was an act of courage. Each promise carried risk. And with every ceremony Valentine performed, he unknowingly stepped closer to becoming one of history's most mysterious legends. But Rome was always watching. And secrets rarely stay hidden forever. The small chapel smelled faintly of melted wax and olive oil. Valentine stood before a young couple, Marcus, a soldier, and Livia, the daughter of a merchant. Their hands trembled as they held each other. "Are you certain?" Valentine asked softly. Marcus nodded. "Even if tomorrow takes me to war. I want tonight to make us eternal." Valentine smiled gently. "Then let love be your shield." As he spoke the vows, something remarkable filled the room, not just romance, but defiance. In a world ruled by iron discipline, these two chose tenderness. When the ceremony ended, Valentine handed them a small parchment with a simple drawing of a heart. "Carry this," he said. "So you never forget, love is stronger than fear." Word began to spread. Couples traveled from distant villages under the cover of darkness. Some arrived disguised as traders. Others came separately to avoid suspicion. The chapel became a sanctuary. Yet with every marriage performed, danger grew closer. One evening, as Valentine extinguished the final candle, a sharp knock echoed through the church doors. He froze. Heavy boots shuffled outside. For a moment, silence swallowed the room. Then came the unmistakable sound of imperial guards. Rome had discovered the priest who dared to challenge its emperor. And by sunrise, everything would change. Dawn arrived cold and unforgiving. The church doors burst open. "Valentine of Rome, you are under arrest by order of Emperor Claudius." Chains clinked as soldiers seized him. Yet Valentine did not resist. As they led him through the streets, windows opened quietly. Faces appeared, bakers, mothers, old men leaning on canes. Many knew what he had done. Some bowed their heads. Others placed hands over their hearts. No one spoke. Inside the palace, Claudius studied the priest with curiosity rather than anger. "Why defy me?" the emperor demanded. "Rome needs strong soldiers, not lovesick boys." Valentine replied calmly, "A man who loves fights with purpose. Love does not weaken Rome, it strengthens it." For a moment, Claudius seemed almost persuaded. Legend says he even considered freeing Valentine. But when the priest urged the emperor himself to embrace compassion and faith, patience vanished. Valentine was sentenced to death. Until that day arrived, he would remain imprisoned. Yet fate had one more chapter waiting, one that would transform his story from quiet rebellion into eternal legend. Because within those prison walls, Valentine would discover a love story of his own. Prison was quieter than Valentine expected. Days passed slowly, measured only by footsteps in the corridor. Then one afternoon, he heard a gentle voice. "My father says you are a man of learning, is it true?" It was Julia, the jailer's daughter. Blind since birth, she lived in a world shaped by sound and imagination. Valentine began telling her stories, of green valleys beyond Rome, of sunsets painting the sky crimson, of flowers blooming after rain. Julia listened as though each word were color. "Do you think I will ever see such things?" she asked once. Valentine hesitated, then said softly, "Faith makes the impossible possible." Their conversations became daily rituals. He taught her mathematics, philosophy, and kindness. In return, Julia brought warmth into his final days. Some say Valentine prayed for her sight. Others believe their bond itself was the miracle. But one evening, Julia gasped. I see light. Shapes followed. Then color. Tears streamed down her face as the world revealed itself for the very first time. Whether divine or coincidence, the moment became legend. Yet beyond those walls, the date of Valentine's execution had already been set. Love had given him purpose. Now sacrifice would give him immortality. The night before his death was unusually still. Even the guards spoke in whispers. Valentine sat beside a small wooden table, ink trembling slightly as he wrote his final message. Not to Rome. Not to the emperor. But to Julia. He thanked her for reminding him that even in darkness, the human heart seeks light. At the bottom of the parchment, he signed it with words that would echo through centuries. From your Valentine. By morning, he was led beyond the city gates. The winter air bit sharply. Yet witnesses later claimed his face carried peace, not fear. On February 14, around the year 269 AD, Valentine was executed. Rome continued its march through history, unaware that this quiet priest had planted a seed far greater than rebellion. A symbol. A memory. A story that refused to fade. And slowly, people began to remember. Time moved forward, as it always does. Empires fell. New kingdoms rose. Yet Valentine's story lingered in whispers. By the Middle Ages, Europeans believed that February 14 marked the beginning of birds' mating season, a poetic sign that nature itself celebrated love. Writers embraced the idea. The English poet Geoffrey Chaucer was among the first to connect Saint Valentine with romance. Soon, nobles composed handwritten notes filled with devotion. These early Valentines were treasures, folded carefully, sealed with wax, and carried across miles by hopeful messengers. Love was no longer rebellion. It was becoming tradition. Still, it remained deeply personal, expressed through poetry rather than presents. Through ink rather than industry. Through courage rather than convenience. But change was coming again. Because once the printing press arrived, love would find its loudest voice yet. By the 1800s, Valentine's Day transformed once more. Factories hummed. Steam engines roared. And love became printable. Victorian entrepreneurs recognized opportunity in affection. Suddenly, beautifully decorated cards appeared in shop windows, covered in lace, satin, and intricate illustrations. Some were playful. Others passionately sincere. For those too shy to confess feelings aloud, these cards became messengers of the heart. Postal services expanded rapidly, delivering thousands of Valentines each February. Imagine the anticipation, footsteps approaching, a knock at the door, an envelope waiting with secrets inside. Yet the era also birthed humor. Vinegar Valentines mocked bad habits and awkward admirers, proving that even romance has room for mischief. Still, the holiday's core remained unchanged. To be seen. To be chosen. To be loved. And as the world stepped into the modern age, Valentine's Day prepared for its greatest transformation yet. The 20th century turned Valentine's Day into a global celebration. After World War II, people longed for joy again. Businesses answered with flowers, chocolates, and sparkling jewelry. Red roses became the universal language of romance. Hallmark cards carried emotions across continents. Even classrooms joined the tradition, as children exchanged cheerful notes, proof that love exists in many forms, not only romantic ones. Television advertisements painted the holiday as magical. Restaurants dimmed their lights. Music softened. And proposals often waited for this very night. Yet beneath the commercial shine, the spirit of Valentine still whispered. Love bravely. Speak honestly. Choose connection. Because no matter how modern the world becomes, the human heart beats with ancient rhythms. Today, Valentine's Day belongs to the world. In Japan, women gift chocolates, some romantic, some friendly. In France, lovers stroll beside glowing rivers. In New York, proposals happen atop skyscrapers. Technology now delivers affection instantly, messages traveling faster than any medieval courier could dream. Yet the question remains timeless. What does love truly mean? Is it grand gestures? Or quiet loyalty? Perhaps Valentine himself answered it best. risking everything so others could promise forever. His story reminds us that love is not defined by price tags or perfect moments. It is defined by courage, by presence, by the willingness to place another heart beside your own. And that message has never grown old. From a forbidden ceremony in ancient Rome to millions of hearts beating in unison each February, Valentine's Day has traveled farther than anyone could have imagined. It survived emperors. It crossed centuries. It adapted to every generation. Yet at its center remains a simple truth. Love is worth remembering. So when February 14th arrives again, pause for a moment. Look beyond the gifts, beyond the decorations. And remember the priest who believed love should never be outlawed. Because the greatest legacy is not the holiday itself. It is the reminder that even in the harshest times, compassion can change history. And perhaps, somewhere, Valentine's final message still drifts through time, carried gently from one heart to another. Love fearlessly. Love deeply. And never let the world convince you that love is anything less than extraordinary.